For this video, we're keeping the key light in the same position, so that Broncolor F160 LED in the 150 octobox is slightly to the left of Laura and a little bit above, looking down at her. We're then going to have our assistant move a second Broncolor F160 LED with various different modifiers around from behind Laura, coming gradually more and more frontal as we go. The idea is that we're going to see what those different modifiers look like when they're falling across her hair and the side of her face. We're also going to see what the different positions give us for a backlight and which one we like the look of best. First up, we're starting with a bare bulb that has no control and the light's just going to be going everywhere, and as we move around we see we do have a fairly harsh light with this particular setup. Now we're onto a softbox which is 35 by 60 with a grid, and that is a softer source. We're going to see that it's a little bit more gentle on her skin, and as we're moving around we're not getting such a harsh shadow across her cheek from her hair and her ear. Now we have a P70 reflector with no grid, and that's a little bit more controlled than the bare bulb, but still a really hard light source. P70 reflector again, this time with the honeycomb grid, and that just gives us a little bit more control, but it does mean we have to be a little bit more careful about actually pointing it and hitting where we want the light to go as well. The Fluter Fresnel attachment gives us a bigger source because we are filling out the lens on the front of that, so it does have a slightly different feel from the hard P70, and also the light is collimated because it's coming through that Fresnel lens, so it's got a different vibe, but it's still a pretty hard source. Comparing the bare bulb to the softbox, we can see that clearly the bare bulb has a lot more level and it is spraying that light everywhere. The softbox is softer, so we're seeing less pronounced shadows, but we're getting a much lower level. Moving to the P70 reflector, with and without the honeycomb, we're just seeing that it helps to control the light and focus it in on Laura, but it shouldn't really affect the overall level that's falling onto her. It just gives us more control when we're thinking about other things within a scene. Turning the Fluter on and off, we can just see what it's actually doing and how it's bringing her hair to life. I think with all of these, when we're looking at the example of a light on and off, it's looking at how that actually benefits or detracts from our scene. So we might need to lower the level, we might need to raise the level, we might need to make it softer, we might need to make it harder, but ultimately, is it actually adding something that we like? Onto the P70 reflector with the honeycomb grid, and we're just switching through different levels on and off, and then at various power settings, seeing how that sits next to the key light. And this is really important when we're looking at all of these different modifiers. They all have a different output because they're diffusing the light or they're focusing the light. So when we try to unify this and think, well, the P70 at 6 might be equivalent to the softbox at 10, we can begin to imagine that there'll be scenarios where we have to go with a harder backlight if we want the backlight to be visible. Finally, onto the softbox, that's the 35 by 60 with a honeycomb grid. Turning the power on and off, and then just stepping through various different levels. We can see when we get to the lower levels there, it really isn't giving us a lot, but sometimes that's all you need, just a little bit to either help cut your model out from the background or something to help bring the hair to life. So when you get your hands on some of these modifiers, have a go at trying them out, see how it works for different subjects, and see what's going to best bring out your subject from the background, but also is going to help to sculpt them, is going to help to make their hair seem glossy if that's important, or give them a really strong jawline. Hope you found this informative. Please check out the other videos in this series, and they will help to break down some of the other aspects that we're discussing just here.